concerns?
Yeah, like that statement came out. I think it's important that we make sure that starvation should be it should be put to an end, because starvation should never be used as a weapon of war. And it's like, as a mother, it's really very depressing and sad to see what all has been happening around. Rule of law should prevail. In every war has a rule, and I think that needs to prevail. Humanitarian aid really needs to get in there. That is really, really very important that we can get humanitarian. And I think Canada foreign policy is very clear on a two-state solution.
Are we doing enough to instate consequences on the Netanyahu government?
I think there needs to be something needs to be done.
Well, there's a couple of things that the government has to move on immediately to make Canada be able to compete with the United States, to be able to be self-reliant, self-sufficient, and have energy and economic security and protect Canadian sovereignty. So the answer won't be through tweaking and adjusting on a case-by-case, individual project-by-project basis. They've got to fix the entire regulatory, fiscal, and investment framework to attract private sector investment, to attract Canadian investment back from the US, which has been lost at record levels over the last 10 years, to ensure that the private sector can get big projects built to the benefit of all Canadians in every corner of the country. So they're going to have to deal with these laws that they themselves have passed, that provinces right across the country call the No More Pipelines or Never Build Anywhere, Anything Anywhere, Bill C-69, the West Coast Shipping Ban, C-48, the industrial carbon tax, which the West doesn't impose on itself federally. Those should be left to the provincial governments for their positions in Canada, so that Canadian businesses and entrepreneurs can actually compete with the United States and make Canada self-reliant and no longer vulnerable or dependent to the United States, which has, over the last 10 years, while these Liberals have been in government, continue to be Canada's top export company for our country, for our top export product, but then also has made Canada vulnerable to the US for exactly those reasons. And under the last 10 years, under all parties, administrations, the United States has transitioned itself into a major oil and gas producer and supplier to the entire world, which means that they have morphed into being a very aggressive competitor to Canada. And of course, it's this government's own policies that have held Canada back to keep our resources in the ground. That's what needs to be completely reversed. So it requires a whole lot more than lists of projects and politicians making decisions. Of course, ultimately, Conservatives want to see big projects get built and more transportation infrastructure of all kinds in every part of the country to the benefit of all Canadians.
What's your message to François Legault, Premier Legault from Quebec?
Federal governments should respect provincial jurisdiction, and provincial governments ought to make decisions accordingly to their best interests and priorities of their own provinces.
Ask you about all this talk about a major project list that the federal government is trying to basically provide pre-regulatory approval for, who knows, maybe ports, infrastructure, pipelines. What do you think about that?
I'm not aware enough that I can present a comment that would be significant. Sorry. Maybe I will inform myself and after that come back to you.
Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de l'ouverture de M. Legault à des projets de pipeline qui pourraient passer au Québec?
Je trouve ça un petit peu dommage, alors qu'on vise la carboneutralité puis la transition énergétique. Je trouve que M. Legault là, n'est pas en phase avec la volonté des Québécois et des Québécoises de réduire la pollution et de réduire notre empreinte carbone également.
Le projet de transport de lignes d'électricité entre...
Ça, c'est quelque chose d'intéressant.
Ouais.
On serait ouvert à ça. On voudrait regarder qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire avec ça, avec les autres provinces. Mais ça va dans un meilleur sens, une meilleure direction. On est plus favorable à ça.
Stephen Harper was talking about India. He said the supporters of Khalistan, of a Sikh separatist state, should not be in any political party. Do you have any comment on that?
No, sorry.
Can we just get you in English, just on my colleague's question
same
about
question.
Legault's openness to pipelines? Yeah.
at a moment when we are trying to reduce our green gas emissions, to be open to that kind of fossil fuels new project is not going in the right direction, and I don't think that Mr. Legault is in phase with the wish of the population in Quebec with that.
Le discours du trône, allez-vous voter pour au NPD?
Encore en discussion.
Et qu'est-ce que vous pensez du
Posez
fait
ma
que...
question.
Oui, mais le fait que ça se fasse quand même dans l'Ouest canadien, ou là où il y a des feux de forêt, est-ce que vous trouvez que c'est quand même particulier?
Ben, c'est assez symbolique et ironique à la fois, alors que les gens doivent être déplacés à cause des résultats des changements et de la déréglementation climatique avec les feux de forêt qui s'intensifient, qui se multiplient. D'avoir ce genre de propositions-là qui sont sur la table, je trouve que c'est pas en phase avec ce qui se passe dans la réalité. Merci.
Merci.